Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Leo Dignam, and I'm the Deputy Commissioner for the Program Division of the City Parks and Recreation Department. First, let me thank you all for coming out here today to support the Blue Cross Broad Street Run and the many organizations and people that have come together to help make this event one of the truly elite running races in the entire country. I think everybody in the city knows what the Blue Cross Broad Street Run is, but what many of you do not realize is the Blue Cross Broad Street Run is the largest city-sponsored race in the country. When the Broad Street Run began in 1980, we had less than 1,500 runners, most of whom were men. Today we have more than 40,000 runners, most of whom are women. The only thing holding us back is the width of Broad Street. This race takes tremendous effort from many city departments, from police to Homeland Security, from public property to the streets department, but the lead department is my department, the Department of Parks and Recreation, which also oversees 150 playgrounds and recreation centers, 70 outdoor swimming pools, over 9,000 acres of parkland and open space. The department also stages the Mummers Parade and runs the Dell Music Center. So we've had a little bit of experience and practice in putting on a big show. We think this year's Blue Cross Broad Street Run is going to be the best one yet. Thanks to the added support we receive from our business partners, especially Independence Blue Cross and CBS Radio, and new this year, NBC 10, which will be televising the entire race live from start to finish for the first time ever. So a special thank you to all of our partners who are helping us in this great endeavor, and thank you for all for coming out today to support the race. Now I want to recognize a number of officials who are here with us today, some of whom will be speaking. First of all, beginning with our Mayor, Michael Nutter, who's been a great stalwart supporter of the race as mayor and also as city councilman. We also have Susan Slauson, our first Deputy Commissioner of Parks and Recreation, also a participant in the run. Not this year, but in previous years. Chris Cashman from Independence Blue Cross, who I also think was a participant in the run at one point in time. Renee Chenault from NBC 10, and Mark Rayfield from CBS Radio. And from the Department of Parks and Recreation, everybody knows Jim Marino, our race director. And Peggy Yastrzemski, she's not up here, but she's out here somewhere, who's my assistant and the administrative director of the run. And they're the real workhorses behind this event. They've been growing the run for the last 18 years. So I want to give them a special shout out and round of applause, please. We also have several representatives from our charity partners. Many people don't realize that the race helps organizations that support the cause of health and fitness in the city. They're here with us today. We have Catherine Ott Lovell, the Executive Director of the Fairmount Park Conservancy. Diane Cassetti from the American Cancer Society. Karen Campbell from Students Run Philly Style. And Catherine Sanderson from Back on My Feet. All worthy organizations and great organizations that help the cause of the health and fitness in the city. With that, I would like to introduce my boss, the first Deputy Commissioner of Parks and Recreation, Susan Slauson, who will share some more details about the run and the summer program coming up for the department.
Good morning, and it truly is a pleasure to be here this morning, and this is the best 10-miler in the country. Not just because Parks and Recs, you know, operates this whole thing, but because it has grown tremendously, and because of all of the people that have been supporting it. It is really the most fun, the scenic view that you get coming from Broad Street North all the way to Broad Street South. It just doesn't get any better. You know, they say there are no hills, but if you run it, there are some hills there. I disagree with that. There's a little bit of hill going on there. But I want to thank all of you that have supported us. Blue Cross, Blue Shield, you all have been our champions. Chris, you've been our champion since we've been doing this race. I just want to recognize you again and say thank you so much for all you've done. Mark Rayfield. It's being televised. How big does that get, Mr. Mayor? It's being televised. That is huge. Mark's also being honored by the Police Athletic League. I have the mic, so I get an opportunity to do this. But you know what I want to do? I want to really ask Peggy, come from behind the young ladies, please. You can yell at me later. It's okay. Peggy and Jim, please stand up. Come on, stand up. They are the ones behind the scenes doing all the work. Not all of it. Leo does some of it too. But our staff, they do what needs to be done to make this race what it is. And I just want to tell you thank you. And we're grateful because of your hard work. We can say this is the best race in the country. And so I just want to talk a little bit. Leo talked about some of what we do, the 70 pools, the job opportunities that we have. Parks and Recreation is the largest department when it comes around to providing summer jobs for our young people and for those young people that are not so young. And it's not just for the summer, it's throughout the entire year. And we're here and we are public servants, and it's our job to ensure that we have a summer. You know, one of the things that the mayor started 4 years ago was Fun, Safe Philly Summer. At our facilities, we want to ensure that our young people have an opportunity to enjoy a fun, safe Philly summer right in our recreation facilities. I want to mention also we have this new facility up in Manioc called Venice Island. It holds 250 people. It is absolutely phenomenal. We're looking to bring in as many community, city representatives, people to come in. If you haven't seen Venice Island, please take a look at it. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm not going to take up much more of your time because I know we want to keep this going. And Mr. Mayor, I am about to introduce our wonderful mayor to come to the podium. Could we give him a round of applause, please?
Sue, thank you. Good morning, everyone. And Sue, thank you so very much. Your leadership, certainly Deputy Mayor Mike DeBaradinas, Leo, Peggy, and the one, the only, the incomparable Jim Marino. Please give them all another big round of applause. It really hurts to congratulate a Roman guy, but few of them have actually done some positive things here in the city. More than a few. Great school down the street. I don't know how he got in or out, but that's a whole other story. Yeah, it's, you know, Southern League. This is what happens. Chris Cashman, certainly from Independence Blue Cross and the Blue Cross Broad Street Run. Dan Hilferty, what a tremendous partner with us over many years in a lot of different ways. Mark Rayfield, Anzio Williams, and Renee Chanel Fatah, NBC 10. This is an incredible opportunity for us in a fantastic race. It is the best 10-miler in the United States of America, and now for the first time at the 36th annual Blue Cross Broad Street Run, we have a full broadcast for this race, which now makes it takes it to an entirely new level. Give it up for NBC 10 and all the folks here. We are very excited and very proud of what's happening here. It looks like, which I'll be shouting out and doing a few high fives, to Students Run Philly Style. Give it up for Students Run Philly Style over there. We do our high five thing. To all of our city employees, there are a lot of departments and agencies involved in this effort. You heard about certainly Parks and Recreation, but the police department, the streets department, the fire department, EMS, all of the personnel who are actively engaged and involved in this effort, and we thank them. We're excited, of course, to kick off the countdown to the 36th annual Blue Cross Broad Street Run. In my opinion, this, as Sue, I think, pointed out, one of the most scenic, but certainly an exciting race, and runners are taking note in the nation. 40,000 folks ready to go. Broad Street is one of the top races in the country. We think it is, in fact, the best. It's the biggest city run race in the nation, and we love that kind of spotlight. We do big events very well, and this is one that, again, continues to grow over the years. I've said to a lot of folks, as they've asked me about, kind of the second half of the year, I've pointed to the Broad Street Run as really the kickoff of a whole series of events over the next 8 months or so. When you think about Broad Street Run starting basically first weekend in May, the largest international sporting event takes place first weekend in June. That's our Philadelphia International Cycling Classic, which has been upgraded for the Women's World Cup, the only city added to the Women's World Cup series in the world, right here in Philadelphia. July, of course, brings Wah Wah Welcome America, the largest free outdoor concert in the United States of America. September, end of, I guess, August into September, over the Labor Day weekend, Made in America, fourth festival here in the city. And then, of course, later in September, one who thought that there are so many incredible things going on in Philadelphia that he needed to see it for himself, bringing over 1 million of his friends and faithful to Philadelphia. Even Pope Francis wants to check out what's happening in Philadelphia. It just doesn't get much better than that. And so, that's takes us through September. Forbes 30 Under 30 in October, and a bunch of other things for the rest of the year. And, of course, our great and growing marathon in November. So we've got a few things going on. That's, just a half a dozen or so off the top of my head. The nation takes note of all of these events and so much more, and Philadelphia has much to be proud of, because this recognition is truly about community events. The Parks and Recreation Department and so many other agencies work hard every day to coordinate all the technical details that go into pulling off such an event. Major business sponsors, again, Blue Cross, NBC, Comcast, CBS Radio, and so many others contributing their time and resources to support this effort. An array of community groups and individuals volunteering their time. You cannot put on huge events like this without a significant number of volunteers and other folks who are committed and actively engaged and involved. And one of the main purposes of the run is to raise money for various charitable organizations. We have a number of representatives here from those groups, and we've targeted to help this year, including, of course, the American Cancer Society, Students Run Philly Style, Back on My Feet, and, of course, the Fairmount Park Conservancy. Please give a big round of applause to these groups and so many, many others. And so, yes, the Broad Street Run, the Blue Cross Broad Street Run, is a great event in terms of not only the spectacle but also the sport of running. But it's an important venue for building and strengthening our community. Philadelphia was born and created. William Penn called it his green country town. Today we're known, of course, as the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, a city of neighborhoods. And I can't think of any other event that demonstrates all of these sentiments as effectively as dynamically as the Broad Street Run. Some may or may not know Broad Street is the longest straight street in the United States of America as well. This 10-mile straight line race, which, as Sue Slauson mentioned, I have not run the Broad Street Run. She has, and a number of others have. And, the runners, you have to love this when they say, well, it's 10 miles, but it's all downhill. It's still 10 miles. I wouldn't care if it was going down steps. It's 10 miles. That's like a lot of running. But it really takes you through a montage of our city neighborhoods. It relies on the goodwill and brotherhood of thousands of citizens who volunteer their time and resources to make it happen, and they cheer the runners along the course for all 10 miles downhill. And ultimately, part of the money that's raised, of course, goes to, again, to these efforts that we've talked about, but especially our own Fairmount Park, the crown jewel of municipal park systems, the largest municipally owned park system in the United States of America, and a great urban treasure for our city. And so I want to thank all of you for coming out today. Make sure you get out early on Saturday to get your good spot to watch from wherever you want to watch the Broad Street Run. Now, I mentioned to Chris Cashman, and of course, last week we just kicked off the Blue Cross Indigo bike share program here in the city of Philadelphia. So I had this thought this morning. For those of us who have either stopped running, or for the rest of us, like myself, who never really started, this may also be a great opportunity to add a little extra to this Blue Cross Broad Street Run with something I've dubbed the Blue Cross Indigo Broad Street ride. And we might want to encourage some of our riders who are not runners to follow the Broad Street runners with the Blue Cross Indigo bikes on the Blue Cross Broad Street Run Day. We'll try to figure that out. Today is Tuesday, the race is Sunday. Plenty of time here in Philadelphia. Chris has got it. The Roman guy has got it. We're good to go. Between the prep and Roman, we will figure it out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to announce not only the Blue Cross Broad Street Run, but the Blue Cross Indigo Broad Street Bike Ride, kicking off this year for the first time ever in the city of Philadelphia. The folks who I work with are so excited to hear this announcement for the first time as they stand here on the sidewalk. I love having new ideas every day. Thanks a lot. See you on Sunday. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you, Mayor. We'll take that under advisement. Next up, we have, again, the title sponsor of the Blue Cross Broad Street Run. Many people don't realize that we became partners with Blue Cross about 18 years ago, which is when we had less than 1,500 people. So I don't think it's a coincidence that now we are busting at the seams of 40,000 in our lottery. So I would like to introduce from Independence Blue Cross, Mr. Chris Cashman.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is not a bad day for a run today, or for a bike ride, for that matter.
Love a bike
ride. Ladies and gentlemen, all of us at Independence Blue Cross are thrilled to once again partner with the city, with the mayor, with the Parks and Recreation Department for our 19th year as we move forward to grow this world-class run. And one of the things that we're so thrilled with is that this is a partnership that we've developed over those 19 years that have grown into from a business relationship to really a labor of love. The work that our team does every year with the city's Park and Recreation Department really is incredible. And the relationships that have grown over the years, the great ideas that have been introduced and shared to help us grow this run from the 1,500 or 1,600 when we started to now 40,000 is really incredible. So I'd ask all of you to give the city and the city's Parks and Recreation Department a big round of applause too for not only being great partners, but for the creativity that they bring to this race every year. Leo is correct. I have participated in the race. You know what they say, participated in the race for 3 years. I did it 3 years in a row. It was a great experience because I really did want to see what everyone was telling me about. First year, I darn near quit right at Broad and Vine. And I got to Broad and Vine and I heard Jim's pep band playing. And that was enough to get me to Broad and Walnut, where Ed Rendell was standing out front high-fiving everybody. And then that got me to Washington Avenue, where there were more bands and churches letting out. And that's really the environment that our runners go through when they run this Blue Cross Broad Street Run. The other thing that we're thrilled about is this is our region's race. This is our city's race. It's become an international race, as many of you know. But this is really our neighborhood's race. So it doesn't matter if you're from Mount Airy or from Manayunk or from Kensington or Kinsessing. You know, the average person, the average man, woman, child, family can participate in this race just as I did. And I think that's what makes this event so special for the city. So while we've enjoyed a great partnership with the city, we're also thrilled to welcome a new partnership with NBC 10 and Telemundo 62, who for the first time, maybe recognizing the significance of this event, are going to televise it so that those who can't participate, just like on a mummers parade when they can't participate, they can still enjoy the festivities. They can enjoy the stories, behind the scenes stories that NBC 10 is producing on the mile stories, each mile of the race they're focusing on. And that's really been great coverage. And I just want to recognize Anzio Williams from NBC 10, who was the first person to call me shortly after last year's race to open the dialogue about this kind of partnership. So thanks, Anzio. Really appreciate it. You know, the other thing that we're thrilled about, 40,000 runners, probably 13 to 15,000 of them will be Independence Blue Cross members, customers. Even more importantly than that, we'll have hundreds, if not thousands, of IBC employees running in this race, and we'll have hundreds of IBC employees with what we call our Blue Crew volunteering at stops along the race, throughout the race, and down at the Navy Yard. So, Mr. Mayor, again, we're thrilled to be involved. On behalf of Dan Hilferty, all of us at Independence Blue Cross, we look forward to continuing this partnership for years and years to come. Thanks very much. Thanks, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Again, Chris talked about NBC 10. We've met with NBC 10 for the last several months, and they couldn't be more accommodating to the department, to the city, to make the city shine and look great on that day, and let everybody else, as Chris said, who are in their living rooms watching, and then a rebroadcast the next week so the runners can watch themselves. So here to represent NBC 10, who I said earlier she should be the MC up here, but she's letting me be up here. Renee Chenault from NBC 10, please.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I got to tell you, though, it's a little strange being on this side of the podium at a press conference. I feel I should be out there with Gary Watson. But I am here this morning with, as you heard, my Vice President of News, Anzio Williams. And on behalf of everyone at NBC 10 and Telemundo 62, I have to tell you, we are so excited and so proud to be the TV station that brings you this year's Blue Cross Broad Street Run. You know, I think it goes without saying, we are in the business of telling stories. And I can't think of a better story than this one. On a Sunday morning, 40-some thousand people, you know, of all ages, all backgrounds, more than half of them women, which is a story in and of itself, which is worth telling, to be running through Philadelphia's streets, up Philadelphia's main artery, Broad Street, to be able to broadcast every step of that live as it's happening, as well as all the backstories, the people who are running who you normally wouldn't hear about, and then to be able to tell that story in both English and Spanish, well, it doesn't get any better than that. Now, I don't think it's any surprise to anyone that Independence Blue Cross took the lead on this. I've been at NBC 10 for some 24 years now, and over the years have done so many medical health stories that either directly or tangentially were related to Independence Blue Cross and all the work they're doing in our community in terms of healthy communities and working and reaching out to women and to children and to disenfranchised communities here in Philadelphia. So no surprise that you would take the lead. Also no surprise that Parks and Recreation, Sue, I'm sorry to hear you're not out there running this year. Maybe next year, right? But Parks and Recreation, and of course under the leadership of our mayor, which is really, Mayor Nutter, you've made this a city that we are proud to showcase and proud to tell the story of. So real quickly, because you know I like to talk, I'm on TV. Real quickly, let me tell you what you're going to get on Sunday. We have all of our reporters, all of our anchors, all of our meteorologists. In fact, Sheena Parveen and I, we're going to be on the starting line. They told me if I didn't broadcast this, I'd have to run in the race. So I'm going to be on the starting line with Sheena Parveen. Along the route, we're going to have all of our reporters, Tracy Davidson and Visa Kahema. Then at the finish line, we'll have our anchors, Jim Rosenfield and Jacqueline London. We'll be telling the stories of the runners along the way. We'll be bringing to bear the technology, Storm Force 10, Sky Force 10. I know you've heard us say it over the past few months, NBC 10, count on it. Well, let me tell you, come this Sunday, May 3rd, our coverage start to finish of the Blue Cross Broad Street Run. We've got it covered. You can count on it. We'll see you Sunday.
Thank you, Renee. We also have another partner that actually joined us last year, and again, in the Department of Parks and Rec, we all have other jobs. We run playgrounds and basketball leagues and swimming pools and things like that. So we were thrilled last year when CBS Radio reached out to us to be our partner in getting people to invest in the race, sponsorship. So to talk about that a little bit is the president of CBS Radio, Mr. Mark Rayfield.
Thank you, Leo. First, I wanted to say, for the first time, nobody's mentioned this, but this being the first Blue Cross Broad Street Run and bike ride that the mayor, Leo, and Jim will actually be on a tandem bike leading the ride, which I think is terrific. Congratulations, gentlemen. I look forward to seeing that. So do I. CBS Radio is honored to serve for the second year in a row as an official partner of the Blue Cross Broad Street Run. CBSPhilly.com and our 6 radio stations, including KYW News Radio, Sports Radio 94 WIP, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, 98.1 WOGL, 92.5 WXTU, and Philly's new 96.5 AMP Radio, and that's a mouthful, have embraced this wonderful event that epitomizes the spirit of Philadelphia. And that's exactly what this event does. Epitomizes what good can happen when people from all walks of life come together as one. If you've had the good fortune, as I have, to watch the mayor fire the starter's pistol before thousands and thousands of people, you really get a sense of what I mean. I'd like to thank our fantastic co-partners for their support. Einstein Healthcare Network, Teva Pharmaceuticals, Acme Markets, Dow, Martin's Potato Rolls and Bread, Rescue, Anytime Fitness, and NBC 10, along, of course, with Independence Blue Cross for making the Blue Cross Broad Street Run possible. There are also so many people behind the event itself from the Philadelphia Parks and Recreation Department. Thank you, Jim, Leo, Susan, Michael, Mayor Nutter, and the entire staffs of Parks and Recreation for your hard work. Broad Street will be packed and the sun will be shining. We hope you have the opportunity to participate in the Broad Street Run this Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Last but not least, as we talked about before, the person in the department who's really spearheaded this race for the last 18 years. He's been working on it longer than that. I think back in the 80s he started working on this race, but he took over as race director 18 years ago. I'd like to introduce race director of the Blue Cross Broad Street Run, Mr. Jim Marino.
Thank you, Leo. It's really lucky a boy from Roman Catholic right up the street gets to do something on Broad Street, and I deeply appreciate the mayor's support every year when we go to do this for that. The race started in 1980 with a vision from a gentleman at the Philadelphia Daily News and our Parks and Rec commissioner at the time. They said, why don't we do a race down Broad Street? They thought about it and they said, okay, sounds like a good idea. First 2 years they actually ran right through City Hall courtyard when it was nice and small. And that was a straight line until you got near to the finish line, and they had to do a loop around the JFK Stadium. So it's grown quite a bit since then. We've had a number of runners and participants and from the media over the years, and we deeply appreciate everything they've done to help us grow the race, as well as Independence Blue Cross. Some of the things that we've incorporated over the years, the past couple of years, we've always had a partner great like the American Cancer Society. The American Cancer Society has been with the race since 1982 as our official charity. I became involved in the race in 1984. My first job was turning on the fire hydrants to be sprinklers coming down Broad Street. So it's been a lifelong venture as part of my career in the Parks and Rec Department to be in charge of the race and working the race. But the American Cancer Society has been fabulous over the years, and we've raised over $6 million over the years for them. And I think that's a tremendous accomplishment that we've done, and we continue to get support from the runners year in and year out. The other groups that we've been involved in, Student Run Philly Style, 1,000 kids running every year in their programs. They train, and the mayor talked about it a little bit, and he just reminded me that the Student Run Philly Style program, they start in March with the organizational meeting and getting all the kids ready to start being members of their teams, and they lead all the way up through the Broad Street Run, through the summer months, with the ultimate goal is running in the Philadelphia Marathon in November. And that's another great event that our city puts on as a city department, different departments and things like that in the city government. So the Philadelphia Marathon is the culminating event for the Student Run Philly Style kids. And if you want to see a progression of athletes as they learn how to take charge of their personal well-being and health and wellness and getting fit, the Student Run Philly Style is a perfect model for that. And then we have Back on My Feet. Back on My Feet, the homeless support programs. I'm lucky enough to be on the board of Back on My Feet, and they've been a tremendous organization since day one. Founded right here in Philadelphia with chapters all over the country now, supporting the homeless and trying to get them back on their feet. And we continue to support their program and their efforts as part of our official charity partners. And then finally, we have the Fairmount Park Conservancy. And this has been a pet project of a gentleman I want to introduce. Dave Thomas, step up front, please, Dave. Dave Thomas, ladies and gentlemen, he's the cross-country coach of Philadelphia University, former Temple runner over the years, a great coach over the years. Dave has taken it on helping to renovate the Belmont Plateau cross-country course by himself, okay, for a number of years. Finally, I got wind of it, and I said, we got to start supporting this effort. So I said, let's get something together with the Broad Street Run, the Blue Cross Broad Street Run, Christopher. We want to make sure that we help support this effort. The Belmont Plateau Cross Country Course is the crown jewel of running in all of our trails in the Parks and Rec Department. And for a number of years, it was falling a little bit in disarray, and we decided that we were going to take this by the horns. With Dave's pushing and knowledge of the courses, things like that, we've had it all remeasured and recertified. The Broad Street Runners are donating money to help renovate the trails with our efforts with the Fairmount Park Conservancy and Catherine and their team. And this is part of the things. We're going to have new signage on the trails. We're regrading all the trails. And this is some of the displays that we're working on already. And it's going to be continuing improvements, not only for the current runners of the cross-country teams in our community, the colleges and the high schools and the CYO programs, and the youth programs that we do. We want to intend to have a national championships come back here to Philadelphia as part of this effort. And we've already talked to the Philadelphia Sports Congress about that, and we're looking forward to the day when the Belmont Plateau gets its rightful position in the running community once again. And we're proud to be a part of that partnership and making that happen. And I deeply appreciate all the efforts of Dave over the years out there pounding stakes in the ground by himself and in the cold mornings in the fall. So with that, we can't say enough about our new partnership with NBC 10. We're really looking forward to everything happening. The charity's been nothing short of fantastic. We have 125 volunteer groups that are taking part, as you heard, and there's 5,000 volunteers alone, led by the Blue Crew. And we deeply appreciate everybody's support, and we're looking forward to a great day on Sunday. Thank you, everybody.
One thing I just wanted to mention is that our partner, the Fairmount Park Conservancy, is the vehicle that is raising money to help do the work at Belmont Plateau. So we want to thank Catherine Ott-Lovell and her organization. Jim must have missed that. That's his high school training, I guess. Anyway, we'll move on. Anyway, thanks, everybody. We'll see you out there Sunday at the Blue Cross Broad Street Run. Come on out and cheer on our runners, 40,000 strong, and we'll see you on Sunday.